Welcome to AI and Human-Centered Leadership. I'm thrilled to have you here as we explore one of the most important shifts in modern leadership. As artificial intelligence becomes more integrated into our workplaces, the role of leaders is evolving. It's no longer just about managing performance or hitting KPIs. It's about creating environments where people feel seen, heard, and valued, even as machines take on more tasks. This course is designed to help you develop a leadership style that's both technologically savvy and deeply human. We'll explore how empathy, inclusion, and purpose can coexist with data, automation, and AI. You'll learn how to lead in a way that not only embraces innovation, but also protects and uplifts the human experience. Whether you're leading a small team or a global organization, the skills you'll gain here will help you navigate the future with confidence and compassion. To understand where human-centered leadership comes from, we need to look back to the 1960s, when humanistic management theory first emerged. This theory challenged the dominant industrial mindset that treated workers as cogs in a machine. Instead, it emphasized dignity, respect, and the intrinsic value of each person. It was a radical idea at the time, one that laid the groundwork for today's people-first leadership models. Fast forward to the 21st century, and we see thought leaders like Jim Collins advocating for servant leadership, where the leader's role is to serve their team, not command them. Simon Sinek added another layer by emphasizing purpose, the idea that people are most motivated when they understand the why behind their work. This evolution reflects a broader societal shift. We've moved from rigid hierarchies to flatter, more collaborative structures. From control to empowerment. From uniformity to diversity. Human-centered leadership is not just a trend. It's a response to the complex, interconnected world we live in today. So, why is this approach more critical now than ever before? The answer lies in the convergence of three powerful forces: technology, expectations, and outcomes. First, the pace of technological change, especially with AI, is staggering. Tasks that once took hours can now be done in seconds. But while machines are getting smarter, people still crave connection, meaning, and growth. That brings us to the second force, employee expectations. Today's workforce, especially younger generations, want more than a paycheck. They want purpose, flexibility, and a sense of belonging. And here's the third piece: business results. Research consistently shows that organizations with high employee engagement outperform their peers in profitability, innovation, and customer satisfaction. Human-centered leadership isn't just good for people, it's good for business. It's how we build resilient, adaptive organizations that thrive in uncertainty. Let's define what we mean by human-centered leadership. At its core, it's a philosophy that puts people before processes. It's about recognizing that employees are not just resources, they're individuals with dreams, challenges, and potential. This leadership style emphasizes co-creation, where decisions are made with not just for your team. It values inclusion, ensuring that diverse voices are not only heard, but actively shape the direction of the organization. And it prioritizes dignity, treating every person with respect, regardless of their role or background. Human-centered leadership is not about being soft, it's about being smart. It's about creating a culture where people feel safe to innovate, where collaboration is the norm, and where everyone feels they belong. In a world increasingly driven by algorithms, this kind of leadership is what keeps organizations human. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. It's a powerful concept popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, and it's foundational to human-centered leadership. In practice, this means creating a culture where learning is continuous and failure is seen as a stepping stone, not a setback. Leaders must model this mindset by being open to feedback, curious about new ideas, and willing to admit when they don't have all the answers. Psychological safety plays a huge role here. When people feel safe to speak up, take risks, and make mistakes, innovation flourishes. And in the age of AI, upskilling is essential. Leaders must invest in helping their teams build digital literacy, especially around emerging technologies. This isn't just about staying competitive, it's about empowering people to grow alongside the machines. Authenticity and empathy are not just buzzwords, they're leadership superpowers. Authentic leaders are consistent in their values and transparent in their actions. They don't hide behind corporate jargon or polished personas. Instead, they show up as real people, which builds trust and credibility. Empathy, meanwhile, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's about listening deeply, asking thoughtful questions, and seeing the world through someone else's eyes. In a diverse workplace, empathy helps bridge differences and foster inclusion. Together, authenticity and empathy create a culture where people feel safe, valued, and motivated. They transform leadership from a position of authority into a practice of connection. And in a world where AI can replicate tasks but not emotions, these human qualities are more important than ever. Purpose is the North Star of human-centered leadership. It's what gives our work meaning and direction. When people understand the why behind what they do, they're more engaged, more resilient, and more innovative. But purpose isn't just about lofty mission statements. It's about aligning individual goals with organizational vision. Leaders must help their teams see how their daily work contributes to something bigger. This alignment creates a sense of ownership and motivation that no bonus or perk can replicate. Vision, on the other hand, is about looking ahead. It's about setting a clear direction and inspiring people to move toward it. And in a rapidly changing world, that vision must be adaptable. Leaders must be willing to revisit and refine their purpose as circumstances evolve. This flexibility ensures that the organization stays relevant and resilient. Co-creation is the practice of building solutions together rather than imposing them from the top down. It's a shift from control to collaboration, from hierarchy to partnership. In human-centered leadership, co-creation means involving your team in decision-making, especially when it comes to designing new processes or implementing new technologies. It means valuing diverse perspectives and recognizing that the best ideas often come from the front lines. This is especially important in AI projects, where cross-functional collaboration is key. When technical experts, business leaders, and end users work together, the result is not only more effective, it's more ethical and inclusive. Co-creation fosters ownership, boosts morale, and leads to better outcomes for everyone. Psychological safety is the belief that you won't be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, or concerns. It's the foundation of trust, creativity, and high performance. Leaders play a critical role in creating this environment. It starts with modeling vulnerability, admitting mistakes, asking for feedback, and showing that it's okay not to have all the answers. It also means encouraging open dialogue, welcoming dissent, and making it safe to challenge the status quo. Regular check-ins, team retrospectives, and anonymous feedback tools can help reinforce this culture. But psychological safety isn't a one-time initiative, it's a daily practice. When people feel safe, they're more likely to take risks, share bold ideas, and push the boundaries of what's possible. Even the most motivated teams can be held back by systemic barriers. That's why human-centered leaders must act as architects, designing environments where people can do their best work. Start by eliminating bureaucratic red tape that slows down decision-making. Then ensure your teams have the tools, training, and support they need to succeed. Look at your workflows. Are they efficient, or are they relics of a bygone era? Burnout is another major barrier. Monitor workloads, encourage time off, and create space for recovery. And finally, use AI strategically. Automate the repetitive tasks so your people can focus on creative, high-value work. When we remove these barriers, we unlock the full potential of our teams. As we integrate AI into our organizations, we must do so with a strong ethical foundation. Ethical AI isn't just about compliance, it's about trust, fairness, and responsibility. One of the key principles is transparency. AI systems must be explainable. If a machine makes a decision, whether it's approving a loan or screening a job application, we need to understand how and why that decision was made. Next is human autonomy. AI should augment human decision-making, not replace it. People must retain control over critical choices, especially those that affect lives and livelihoods. Then there's the idea of balanced systems. We must pair efficiency with empathy. AI can optimize processes, but we must ensure it doesn't reinforce bias or dehumanize interactions. Finally, human-in-the-loop design ensures that humans remain actively involved in AI decision-making. This collaborative approach helps us harness the strengths of both human judgment and machine intelligence. Ethical AI is not just a technical issue, it's a leadership responsibility. Data is a powerful tool for leadership, but only when used wisely. In a human-centered approach, we start by collecting workforce insights thoughtfully. This means going beyond surface-level metrics like productivity or attendance. We look at engagement, sentiment, collaboration patterns, data that tells a richer story about how people are experiencing their work. But data alone isn't enough. We must add human context. Numbers can tell us what is happening, but not always why. That's where empathy comes in. Leaders need to listen to stories, understand lived experiences, and interpret data through a human lens. When we apply AI in this context, it should be used to personalize support, not to surveil or control. For example, AI can help identify burnout risks early or recommend tailored learning paths. The goal is to use data and technology to empower people, not to reduce them to data points. The future of leadership demands a new set of skills. First and foremost is digital literacy. Leaders don't need to be AI engineers, but they do need to understand how AI works, what it can and can't do, and how to ask the right questions. This fluency enables them to guide their teams effectively through digital transformation. Next is change navigation. AI is reshaping workflows, roles, and even business models. Leaders must help their teams adapt, not just by managing change, but by inspiring confidence and curiosity in the face of it. And perhaps most importantly, leaders need a growth mindset. Continuous learning isn't optional, it's essential. Leaders must model this mindset by embracing new tools, seeking feedback, and encouraging experimentation. When leaders commit to their own development, they create a culture where learning is valued and innovation thrives. Let's look at a real-world example of how human-centered leadership can drive successful AI transformation. In this case study, a company introduced AI tools to streamline operations, but they didn't start with the tech. They started with the people. Frontline employees were involved from the beginning. They helped select the tools, define the use cases, and shape the implementation strategy. This ensured that the technology addressed real needs and fit seamlessly into existing workflows. The rollout was managed by cross-functional teams, including IT, HR, and operations. Regular feedback loops allowed the organization to adjust and improve adoption in real time. The results? A 40% increase in innovation and a significant drop in employee turnover. This case shows that when you put people at the center of AI transformation, you don't just get better technology, you get better outcomes. How do we know if human-centered leadership is working? We measure it. This slide shows 4 key metrics: retention, engagement, psychological safety, and innovation. These aren't just feel-good indicators, they're directly tied to performance and growth. Before implementing human-centered practices, this organization had a retention rate of 65%. Afterward, it jumped to 85%. Engagement rose from 60% to 82%. Psychological safety, often the hardest to measure, improved from 55% to 78%. And innovation, a key driver of competitive advantage, increased from 45% to 72%. These numbers tell a powerful story. When people feel safe, valued, and connected to a purpose, they stay longer, contribute more, and help the organization evolve. Human-centered leadership isn't just a philosophy, it's a measurable strategy for success. Implementing human-centered leadership isn't always smooth sailing. One of the biggest challenges is resistance to change. People may fear losing control, relevance, or stability. The key is to address these fears through transparent communication. Involve skeptics in the design process. They often become your strongest advocates once they feel heard. Another challenge is leadership modeling. Change starts at the top. If senior leaders don't embody the values of empathy, inclusion, and openness, the culture won't shift. Authentic commitment is more powerful than any policy. Finally, there's the need for skill development. Human-centered leadership requires new capabilities like active listening, inclusive facilitation, and ethical decision-making. These skills can't be learned from a slide deck. They require experiential learning, coaching, and practice. Overcoming these challenges takes time, but the payoff is worth it. Theory is important, but practice is where transformation happens. This slide introduces 4 powerful tools for applying human-centered leadership. First is empathy mapping, a technique that helps you understand what your team members are thinking, feeling, seeing, and doing. It's a great way to build deeper insight into their experiences. Next is customer journey mapping, which can also be adapted for employee experiences. It helps visualize the touchpoints people have with your organization and identify pain points and opportunities. Inclusive decision-making ensures that diverse perspectives are considered in every major choice. This leads to better, more equitable outcomes. And finally, design sprints are a fast, collaborative way to prototype and test new ideas. They bring together cross-functional teams to solve problems creatively and quickly. These tools help turn human-centered leadership from a concept into a daily practice. Change is hard. Uncertainty is harder. But both are inevitable, especially in the age of AI. That's why leaders must develop the ability to lead with both empathy and decisiveness. During times of disruption, it's essential to acknowledge the emotional impact on your team. People may feel anxious, confused, or even threatened. As a leader, your job is to create space for those emotions while also providing psychological support and strategic clarity. Active listening is crucial. Understand individual concerns and address them with compassion. At the same time, you must communicate a clear vision and make confident decisions. This balance of heart and head is what builds trust and keeps teams aligned. Regular updates, transparent communication, and a steady presence can make all the difference. In uncertain times, people don't just need answers, they need leaders who care. Looking ahead, we see several exciting trends shaping the future of leadership. One is AI as a fairness partner. When designed thoughtfully, AI can help reduce bias, improve accessibility, and support more equitable decision-making. Another trend is the rise of hybrid competencies. Leaders will need both emotional intelligence and digital fluency. It's not enough to be tech-savvy, you also need to be people-savvy. Organizations of the future will be agile and inclusive. They'll prioritize adaptability, diversity, and continuous learning. These cultures will be better equipped to innovate and respond to change. And finally, global collaboration will become the norm. Remote teams, powered by AI tools, will work across time zones and cultures. Leaders who can navigate this complexity with empathy and clarity will have a distinct advantage. As we wrap up, let's reflect on what we've learned. Human-centered leadership is about balancing technology with empathy. It's about creating psychological safety, fostering inclusion, and using AI to amplify, not replace, human potential. We've explored tools, frameworks, and real-world examples. But the most important step is what you do next. I encourage you to create a personal action plan. Identify 3 specific behaviors you can start practicing today, whether it's holding more inclusive meetings, giving more feedback, or learning more about AI ethics. Also, take advantage of the resources we've shared: leadership assessments, AI guidelines, and learning communities. Leadership is a journey, not a destination. stay curious, stay connected, and keep growing. The future needs leaders like you, empathetic, ethical, and ready to lead with both heart and mind.